All right, everyone. Welcome to Deep Dives with Dogs. Well, today I'm going to talk about a topic that doesn't get brought up as much during the time of the American Civil War. So, the American Civil War, a lot of people, whenever they talk about it, they talk about a lot of the land battles. Obviously, the land battles are very important. It's where the war is mainly fought, but not only. One of the theaters of the war that doesn't get brought up as much because it was kind of Union dominated is the naval side. The naval side of the American Civil War is a pretty large, important factor. You have basically the entire Confederacy being fully cut off from the outside world, more or less, by the Union Navy. There's a blockade off of the entire coast, and it blocks off the Confederates from a lot of other people. Now, not fully, obviously. There's going to be places where you can slip in between the gaps and stuff like that. But it's pretty effective for stopping the Confederacy from really, in force, getting out delegates and things like that on a wider margin. Actually, when the U.S. Navy discovers that there are Confederate delegates on a English ship, the United States and the United Kingdom, Great Britain, I guess, almost go to blows. America gets very upset with the United Kingdom, Great Britain, but there's a lot of tension rising with this, and they have that whole area of the South blockaded. There's lots of important battles that go on. The Battle of, New Orleans, for instance, when the war kicks off, the United States Navy rushes into New Orleans, and they take the city very quickly with very little resistance. It kind of is just given up. And with the taking of that and a lot of other ports, some ports will be harder to take. Mobile, Alabama, for instance, will be a little bit harder to take. But the overwhelming power of the United States Navy is kind of really crazy. We don't necessarily think about it because, like I said, we think about the land battles, and because of how dominant the United States Navy really was, that there's not really a lot to talk about. There are some small things. There's some battles of ironclads, of course. Really the first time the ironclads ever get used, and really one of the only very prominent time that ironclads get used. There's a few other conflicts that they'll get used, but the American Civil War is obviously the most famous examples of the ironclads being used. The other is the first use of a submarine by the Confederates, the Hunley. The Hunley is okay. It's not necessarily the most effective device. It's actually funny looking at some of the attack methods with the Confederates submarine. They basically would get a big explosive stick and put it on the end of the ship and just ram it into a Union ship to blow it up. It does something. It's not ineffective. It's just not as effective as you probably would want a submarine to be. But those are rare instances where the Confederates have a navy that fights. But even then, it doesn't last very long. But most of it is the United States Navy having a basically full monopoly on the sea, which is pretty big. You have naval dominance, especially in this time. There's no air, obviously. If you have naval dominance, you can pretty much do anything. You can cut them off from outside supplies, reinforcements maybe from another nation, potentially. You could prevent them from slipping away somewhere else after. Pretty important. And it'll also be important when Sherman goes on his march to the sea They won't even know what happened to him till he connects with the United States Navy on the coast. So, if they didn't have such a dominant coastal control, Sherman probably couldn't have reconnected there, and then he would have been kind of screwed, at least a little bit. But yeah, kind of crazy when you really think about it. It's one of those parts that's super important, but not as much talked about. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have any ways you can improve on these videos, leave a comment down below. I just appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.